What's up, guys? Today I'm going to go through one of the most common contractor sales objection, which is you are way too expensive. And I'm going to give you 3 reasons why homeowners are saying that to you. Hey everyone, my name is Logan Schinholzer and I'm here with Contractor Growth Network, and I want to talk about a topic today that happens all the time to everybody in every industry, but specifically contractors. And that is, you're dealing with this one very specific objection, and that is that you're just too expensive. And it really boils down to 3 reasons why. Now, what's the big problem with being too expensive with homeowners? Well, if you're too expensive, nobody's gonna buy from you. And if nobody buys from you, you can't install or provide services to homeowners. And if you can't do that, how do you get paid and put food on your table for your family? We're all so frustrated because we get this objection all the time. So you're too expensive, and they may say you're too expensive, or they may say other things such as, I have to talk to my spouse, or let me think about it. Doesn't matter what it is, all of those are different ways of saying that you are too expensive for them to move forward at that time. And again, it really boils down to 3 main reasons why they're saying this. Reason number 1 is going to be there are other things for that price point that they would much rather buy. Let's talk about that for a second. So let's think about the average kitchen remodel. The average kitchen remodel could be between $60,000 and $80,000 to have that kitchen done. So if you think about in a homeowner's life, what are the reasons that they're getting this kitchen remodeled? It's outdated, it's ugly, it's not functionally sound. Think of the other things in life that they could buy for $60,000 to $80,000. They could, 1, go on 6 to 8 amazing vacations as a family. Number 2, they could get a brand new car for that amount of money. Number 3, they could take that money, put it into like the stock market or into real estate and make a bunch more money down the road. So there was a lot of other options for them to put that money into. And you have to understand that when you are selling a very expensive item, especially if it's a pleasure item, such as a renovation, whether it's inside the house or outside the house, or some sort of non-necessity in life, then there are other things that you're actually competing with. You're not always competing with other contractors. Most of the time you're competing with all the other things in their life that they could be spending this on. Because if you think about it, how often does a homeowner come to you and they want to hire you for a project, but then when you're too expensive, they end up doing nothing? That happens all the time. They don't look at you and then go to somebody who is a couple $1,000s cheaper. They just do nothing because they realize that if they're going to spend $75,000 on a kitchen, they could spend that on a really nice car. They would much rather do that because the status is tied to a new car. So you have to understand that your true competition is not just other contractors, other competitors. Your true competition is really everything else in the world that your prospects could be spending their money on. It's no different than me with marketing. So with certain companies, with their larger companies, if they have a marketing budget, then I know that the money needs to be spent, and my true competition are other marketing vendors. But if I'm working with a contractor or talking to a contractor that doesn't actually have a marketing budget, then I'm competing with them saving that money or putting it towards their vacation or whatever they want. So my competition with a smaller contractor who's newer to marketing that doesn't have a set aside budget is really going to be the other things in life that they could be spending that money on. You have to understand who your true competition is, because think of the price points of what you sell things at and look at other things in life that your homeowner or your prospect could be looking to buy, and that's really what it comes down to. What is more important to them? Is it a new kitchen, or is it several vacations, or is it going to be a new car? Number 2 is going to be contractors make it way too difficult to do work with. Let's go back to that $75,000 kitchen remodel. Think about something else that's $75,000, a car. How easy is it for somebody to go and get a brand new car? Not only are they getting to drive it around and show off to all their friends that they've made it, they have this luxury item, things like that, all they have to do is go to a car dealership, because they do the research online, because car dealerships make it very easy to go online and research cars these days. They go to a car dealership, they test drive the car, they work with the salesman right there to negotiate a price. You can either get financing through the dealership, or you can get financing through your own bank, and you drive away and your car is done. That's how simple it is. You can go and get a brand new car and be on the road in an hour. Now let's take that $75,000 and put it towards a new kitchen remodel. A contractor is going to be in the home disrupting these people's lives for several months, 2-3 months, back to back to back days. So there is a ton of uncomfortability with the nature of the industry that you're in. So you have to understand that you are causing stress in people's lives. It's not just about the money. They're effectively spending a bunch of money with you to then have their lives disrupted for a quarter of the year. You have to understand that it is very difficult to work with a contractor because of the nature of it all. And on top of that, if you don't offer financing for higher end projects, then that makes it difficult to work with contractors as well. Because back to that car example, car companies don't make you show up to the dealership and spend all 75 grand outright, or at least put down like massive deposits. They let you space this thing out over 5 years. So think about a kitchen remodel, the same price point. Why would you be able to do this on a loan on one type of product, but you can't do it on a different type of product? So you have to see how people buy other items that are similarly priced as yours these days and match your pricing options with them. When you go and buy a house, you get a loan for that house. So again, you have to truly understand how people are buying and how they're actually spending their money towards those purchases. Okay? Now on top of that, contractors also make it very difficult because they don't communicate that well. For $75,000, most homeowners want their hands held. They want somebody to step in and walk them through every step of the process, because this is most likely a massive amount of money that they're going to be spending. Okay, we're not talking about the ultra billionaires that 75 grand is a drop in the bucket. For a lot of these people, they have saved for years for this project, and then now some contractor is going to come in and just assume, because they deal with all these other $75,000 projects all year, that, you know what, we got it, no worries, trust us homeowner, you're going to be okay, but then they do nothing to back it up. You need to remain in contact with homeowners because they are trusting you with their hard-earned money. They might have spent 3, 4, 5 years saving up for this moment, and you drop the ball by not being there and showing empathy towards all these needs that they want and have. So you need to make it super easy for homeowners to work with you. Otherwise, they're going to spend that money on something else, whether it's a new car that is super simple to walk in, make it happen, and then they get to drive around and show off all their friends that they've made it. Number 3 is going to be, there is not enough pain for somebody to move forward. What I mean by that is, they may want this kitchen remodel, but they don't want it bad enough to spend $75,000. So imagine they're not ready today, but maybe in a year, 2 years, 5 years down the road, they're going to be ready because they have to experience whatever's going on in their life that's wrong, enough of that to actually move forward. So for example, back to the kitchen example. If their kitchen is too small and they just moved into this new house and the kitchen's tiny and they know they got to renovate it, well, they call you up, it's $75,000, and they go, you know what, I'm good, I can deal with it. And then in 2 years, they've dealt with it so much that they're finally like, screw it, it's worth the 75 grand, let's just make it happen. It's kind of like when you move out of a city to the suburbs. And at first you buy the house, you're all excited, and then you realize that you got to drive an hour and a half in traffic, but it's not a big deal because you're super excited, you just bought this brand new house. But after several months, a year of sitting in traffic an hour and a half each way every single day, that adds up and your stress level adds up. And it gets to the point where you would be willing to spend a lot of money to circumvent that traffic every single day. So same thing with people being uncomfortable with their space. Sometimes they just need to get frustrated enough over and over and over again to finally move forward. Because there are a lot of clients or a lot of prospects at homeowners that will call up a contractor year over year over year and they're like, hey, look, this is the 4th year in a row you've called me. Why don't you do anything about it? And they're like, well, it's not that big of a deal. So if there's not enough pain, then nobody's going to move forward. So one of the best ways to understand how much pain somebody's going through is to ask them on a scale of 1 to 10, how bad do you want this done? So what that does is that quantifies on a number scale how badly they want to move forward with spending the money with you. So if they say something like a 2, you can very easily say something like, well, what would make it a 7? Or if they say a 10, and then you say it's $75,000, and you say, well, you told me it's a 10, so why don't you want to move forward? Now you have an option, or at least you have an understanding of where they're really at as far as the pain level. So number 3 is going to be, they just haven't experienced enough pain yet. And that is where ongoing marketing comes in, where you continuously nurture this relationship with them. So when the pain builds from a 2 to a 4 to a 6, and then eventually to an 8, and when they're at an 8, that's usually when they start to look for companies to hire. Well, you've been marketing to them every step of the process throughout it. So they're way more likely to hire you. So again, 3 big reasons why people and homeowners are saying you're too expensive. Number 1, there's so many other things that they could buy for that price point that would bring them more ROI at that given time. Number 2 is going to be, you make it just too damn hard to work together. I'm sorry, that's just how, contractors are. Bad communication as a whole. Unfortunately, there's some good ones out there, but as a whole, you think about all the other things that for $75,000 that they could buy. Usually a car salesman, if you call them up, they answer right on the spot because they understand that the faster they can get you in there, the better off they're going to be. And then number 3 is going to be, they just don't have enough pain, and you got to get them there on the pain. So I hope this helps. If you want to talk more about different ways to phrase this stuff or more contractor sales objections, put in the comments below. Just type in contractor sales objections, and we'll start to go through some of those and talk to you about how can you overcome these using your website, using your marketing, things like that. Because if you can already overcome these objections before people call you, it makes selling that much easier. Thank you.